In this video, we're going to take a look at adding new pages to your teacher website, as well as adding apps to those pages. Right now, I'm logged in as a secondary teacher, so this is the middle school and high school configuration. And you'll note the 5 pages that come as default options when you create a SchoolWires teacher account. For an elementary setup, you would get About, Resources, and Teacher Calendar as your default options. Once you get all 5 of these areas set up, you may be interested in adding additional pages to your website, and you can literally add as many pages as you would like to this, and you can customize and configure them in any way that you'd like, any way that you think would be beneficial. So that's what we'll take a look at in this video. If you'd like to add an additional page in addition to the 3 or the 5 that already come as default options, you'll select this New Page button up here, this green button. Once you get into New Page, it's going to ask for a name of this page. So we started with About, Course Description, Assignments, Resources, and Teacher Calendar. If there's an additional page that you want to have here, you would go ahead and type out the name of that page as you would like it to appear on your website. And then you would pick one of these page configurations. There are several that come already set up. So if you know you want to have an article library, you might want to pick that page type. It comes with some default options, and each one has a little description down below so that you know what those page types will be. If instead you would like to add a photo gallery to your class website, you can utilize this default configuration. Or if you'd like to add something a little bit more basic, you can just add a regular old content page, which will give you just one content section. Alternatively, we have these simple setups ready to go for you if you would like to customize and build it out yourself. A basic page that has an image on the left, a basic page with an image on the right, just a plain basic page with no image. This would be a simple 1-column header and content layout, or a basic 2-column page, or just a blank page. It's a blank canvas with nothing on it. I'm going to go ahead right now and select Basic Page, which is a simple 1-column header and content layout page. We'll give this a name. All right, once I've selected that, I'm going to save and exit. And you will now note that there is a new page over here called Basic Page. And if you want to edit that name or change it later, you've got this actions area where you're able to change and modify any of those settings. Let's go into the basic page configuration now. Once I get in here, you'll notice that there is nothing in this page. There is no gray rectangle here. That's because there's no content that exists on this page. So the next thing I would need to do is I would need to manage my apps and layout. And in this video, we're just going to talk about managing apps. Once you click on Manage Apps, you'll see that you get an option to add whatever apps you would like to this. So we're going to add an app right now by clicking the Add an App button. And once I do so, I get all of these different apps that exist, all these different ideas that I might have. The most basic of all the apps is the Content app. So if you just want to add a little bit of basic content, you can do so and add that in there. But if you'd like to instead maybe add a page that's got an Announcements app in it, you can select this. You can create a new Announcements one, and then you would need to give this a name. Maybe you want to call this Announcements. Or maybe you don't want to be quite so generic as Announcements, but instead you want this to be upcoming projects. And it'll be all sorts of announcements about upcoming projects. Once you create this area, it'll use whatever name you utilized, and then it'll tell you what kind of app it is that is active here. It's an Announcements app. After doing this, I now will have a page that has exactly one thing on it, just an announcements area on that page. And that may be sufficient. Many of our pages just have one app on them. However, SchoolWires does allow you to add multiple additional apps as well. So if I'd like to have not just announcements here, but I'd like to have some additional things, I can click Add an App again. And I can pick any one of these other apps that I might want to have on here. Maybe I want a heading to be up at the top of the app. Before we get to the announcements, I want to put a little heading up here. The heading for this will be Projects. And I can create that over here. So now I'm going to have a heading on the page and an announcements area. But this isn't really the order that I want them to be in. I'd rather the heading come before the announcements. So I'm going to click and drag with this little arrow tool here. And I'm going to shift this thing up to the top. When I do so, now my heading is at the top and the announcements app is down below it. So you can organize and modify it that way. You could add dozens of apps to a page. The challenge when doing so is it may be a little overwhelming. There may be too much information on a page. So you should really think about how much information you want to include on any page and maybe take some of those ideas and turn them into several different separate pages. But this is customizable however you see fit and however works best for you and your content. Just as we've talked about in previous videos, if you would now like to get in and edit either one of these sections, all you have to do is click on it. Right now, you'll notice we're unable to click on those sections because we are still in design mode. It's listed right over here. So once you're done adding apps and you're done dragging them around, you'll click the I'm done button. And now you have your projects and your heading, projects, and your upcoming projects, the announcement section. And you can go in and edit these two different sections on that particular page. Once you're done in this area, if you're ready to return back to the main website, you can click this home button right over here. You'll notice it's still called basic page, and that's not what I'd like it to appear as on my website. So I'm going to go down to actions and I'm going to edit this page. I don't want it to be called basic page anymore. This seems to be the area on the page, or this seems to be kind of a projects page for me. So I'm going to go over here into page options, and this is where I can reset the name of the page. All sorts of details and settings that can be configured here. Once you've got it set the way that you want it to, you can click save and it will now rename it to projects page. So when I go back to this home button, instead of basic page over here, it will now say projects, and I can utilize that as one of the pages on my website. Last thing we want to do, as always, is go to the view website button up here. Use that to navigate to our website to preview what it looks like. And you'll notice instead of the 5 default pages over here, we've now created our own new page. There's no content here yet, but when I click on projects, this is where it will display a header up at the top as I build out this page, and then all of the announcements that I want to have down below. So the next step for you as you continue to experiment and learn about the new tools in here are to discover some of the different app types that exist. There's an app for virtually anything you might want to do on this page, including embedding content from other sources. There are 2 ways to get really good at doing that. One is to just launch in here and go to the Manage Apps and Layout portion, and then start to add apps. As you go through, you can look at all the different apps that exist, and you could experiment by clicking one, adding it, trying to add some content, and discover what it does and how it works. The other method that you may find beneficial is to navigate to the Help Center up here in the gray bar at the top. When launching the Help Center, there is an area in this Help Center called the App Showroom that is very beneficial because it will kind of demonstrate for you all of those different apps that exist. So if you click on App Showroom, it will launch for you kind of a gallery of the different apps that are available to you. And if you would like to see how those apps may look, let's, for instance, choose the Headlines and Features app. If you'd like to look and kind of get a preview of what that looks like, they have several different views over here of what it looks like on a live website, what it looks like within Site Manager, all the different editing fields that exist, as well as links to additional resources on the side. So hopefully this video is enough to get you going and get you started on adding some apps and custom building your own pages.